People, Deluded, another random video. As you can see, people are staring at me like I'm a bit of a wally. On my lunch break, hit up Tesco's. I thought, let me make a quick vid now. Saliba is the topic of the video, people, purely because I'm sure, like most of you lot, if he is going to sign for the club, you want to see it put to bed, man. We're hearing this, that, the other. 1 minute personal terms. 1 minute personal terms needs to be agreed. The other minute he's not going to go on loan there, then he's going to go on loan. We're not prepared to pay the money. We're prepared to pay the money. But either way, talks appear to be progressing. In an ideal world, Saliba and Tierney would be agreed and be done. In even more of an ideal world, before pre-season starts, which is next week, I believe, for the first team, so it's not feasible. Either way, before we go off to America, ideally, I would love to see a signing in, specifically the defence people. Ideal world, left back and right back, as I keep personally saying, purely because to have any success next season, fundamentally, we need to improve defensively all over the pitch, because defending isn't just the back five, including Leno, it's everybody. But I believe we need to start afresh with some of these young players and players that you can deem are worth it. But we need to work forward with, okay, Bellerin's going to take a while to get fit, and Maitland-Niles will take up the mantelpiece in that regards. But at least if it's a Holding and Socrates sort of thing, or a new centre-half, a left-back comes in Tierney potentially, then there's something for Emre to mould, and there's a kind of defence with age on their side that can grow to maturity. We're not expecting fireworks, so I'm certainly not expecting everything to change in one summer, people, or one pre-season, but it's all about progress. Specifically staying on task and into Saliba, people, I've seen quite a few different reports. Apparently Mohamed Bouhafsi, I believe, well-respected journalist in apologies for the screen as well, people, well-respected journalist in France, has allegedly said he wants to stay for a year in St Etienne. Obviously, they want to keep him on loan, but apparently if we offer a bit more money, it could all change. Now, I would love Mavropanos to get chances next season, but there has to be the question of maybe even Mavropanos on loan, because he'd be playing in a top division, getting games, and they would get a left back as well as having money to refund themselves. Obviously, I would like Bielik to have a chance at the club, but Bielik would get a top division loan. They'd be two names I'd be trying to float, because from an Arsenal perspective, of course, we need to just securing people. Other teams like a City could, apologies for the helicopter, a team like City could probably afford to spend 30 million on him and let him stay there for a year and stuff like that. And to be fair, you have seen reports that he does want to come to London as quickly as possible. You have seen reports that he wants to spend another year. If he wants to adapt to the Premier League and the new coaching and all of them things, then great. But if he wants to spend another year, because he is still inexperienced on the large part, then it makes sense. But from an Arsenal perspective, to spend £30+ million on a centre-half, and he's not going to be in regards to the squad, he's not going to be about for a year or 6 months. If it was until January, who knows? On one hand, that inclines me to believe maybe the club's doing something we don't know. I mean, we've heard that we're in links for Tierney and Kieran Tierney, forgive me for mispronunciations, and Saliba. But surely we know we need a centre half. We've got Koscielny, who was one of our better performers last season, 34 years of age. We're playing a dangerous game. Socrates, 31, 32. Holding, I believe, should get chances, but he's still inexperienced himself. There's centre-halves I would move forward with, but nobody's really screaming for you. And if you're honest, if you really believe the current options are good enough, we're not going to really improve. So surely a more experienced sort of centre-half, if it is a case of Saliba staying, is going to be what happens. And that would bring us to around 4 signings, potentially, people, surely, because there'd be 2 centre-halves if Saliba does go on loan and we are going to bring in somebody. So that would be 2 centre-halves. You'd obviously have a left-back if the Tierney rumours are true. That's 3 signings, and we've got a budget of 45 million. How far can that stretch? We've been linked with Zaha. We've been linked with Weigl again, people. It's transfer window. A lot of silly stuff is happening. So, yeah. In regards to what was actually said, I think Mohamed was asked this, Bouhafsi. He said, is there any way in which St Etienne let the player leave this summer without him being loaned back? And he said, and I believe this is his own personal opinion, I want to say that Arsenal fans need to understand the position that St Etienne are in. The position of St Etienne is that they have a top defender for another year, and the position of a player who wants to have another year of progression in Liga. He wants to be even better in Liga and play even more games, and it's possible that he would not be starting that much in England next season. Talks aren't finished, discussions are ongoing between the two clubs. I could be wrong. Maybe if Arsenal offer another 10 million, St Etienne might drop the loan back condition. Things could evolve. What I want to say though is that this is not necessarily a bad conclusion to sign a player. Sorry people, somebody just walked past. To sign a player who's going to be fantastic for many years and loan him back for 1 season, and he's going to grow during that time in terms of his quality, rather than immediately put him in for fierce competitions. I hear that. Let him go. Let him not rush. You all know with hype and things, he's still an inexperienced player. regardless if he stays in France or comes to England, there are going to be incidences. His age and inexperience shows he's a rough diamond. So I hear that. But where I am at as an Arsenal fan, he can't do any worse than some of the more experienced players. And I'm sure many fans, if you want Bielik, Mavropanos and all of these guys thrown in, they're going to make silly mistakes from time to time. Yeah, that might make us less competitive, but we need to start afresh, because some of these current existing players, they're not screaming any confidence to you if you're honest with yourself, and you don't really believe in them. And these young players can't do much worse. Like I always give the example of Mavropanos being sent off against Leicester, forgive me if I'm wrong, and also the free kick last season where he conceded a foul and Benteke scored. It wasn't just his fault, but it's the incidents. Or if you look at Bielik in the under-21s championship, he conceded a free kick and Ceballos put it in. There's going to be dumb mistakes where they're not tracking runners, they're not aware, they're not sniffing danger, they're reactive rather than proactive. Is typically the case with these young defenders. But I think he should be blooded in, his sink or swim. I get that. On one hand, it's great. He's just got into the first team at Saint Etienne, more or less. Don't ruin his environment. Let him grow. Let him develop. Let him because he'll be waiting a year to move, so he'll have time to prepare himself, because it all has happened fast for him. He's in the under-19s and he's being talked about joining the top 6 club, and there might be a lot of expectations because of what I've just said about how poor Arsenal are, and because of the hype with French players. People might expect fireworks. I think I speak for most honest fans when you say you expect someone to be competent and consistent and trying. He's a young player, so we want to see good moments from him. We want to see what he can do. I'm more than willing to give the Holdings, the Mavropanoses, the Bieliks and Saliba chances, because they can't do much worse. I do recognise you need an experienced centre-half, and I think Socrates proved himself based on last season that he can do his thing, so we can run with that. Koscielny, if it is deemed that we're going to run down the deal, I do think players like Koscielny should be moved on and start afresh. But he's 34 years of age and he done alright and could be called upon. I do get it, people, because as much as we want these youth players to play 38 Premier League games alone, you don't know what you're going to get. They're going to have good and bad patches. That's what surely leads me to believe that Saliba, if he is loaned back, surely we get going for someone that's on paper more experienced, whether that's through age or games played, people. Surely. Who knows, man? Let me get my phone out. The same kind of things I've been reading. I've also said that Emre wants him to stay. I think that was said in the Mirror. If we look at Julian Laurence, he said Arsenal are close to completing the signing of Saliba, but he will stay on loan at Saint Etienne for another season, according to him. So they're playing hardball. Again, surely Mavropanos been starved of football, had problems with injuries. Surely he's a name that's got to be floated, because him playing in Liga, first, a top flight experience. They'll have a centre-half. Of course, he might not be as good as Saliba and whatnot, but they'd have a centre-half and still get their cash. Saint Etienne are laughing if you pay 30-odd million and they get a player, they keep a player there, really and truly, because that allows them to invest whichever money they get up front or whatnot better. Obviously, it's in our interest to complete this move, because he's worth 30 million based on that's what they're settling for now. Next season, it could be even worse. Such is the degree of football. You need to move for these players early. You look at him, you look at Diallo, you look at Canute, you look at many young centres, Zagadou even based on the links, Upamecano. You've got to move for these guys early, people, and it comes down to the scouting, and German clubs have been taking advantage of that, to be fair, and they're going to make mad profits when they sell, not just the French centre-halves, but in general. On that topic, I'm going to eat the rest of my lunch, people. Again, apologies for consistently swinging the camera. It's harder than it looks. People, thank you. Deluded, I'm out.